Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So thank you all for joining in for the Deepavali special session today. We are doing this session every day in this month of Kartik for the pleasure of Guru and Gauranga. This is an endeavor from our side to declare our sincerity to the Supreme Personality of Godhead that what we need, what we require, what we seek for is only the service opportunity, and may we be able to perform such service in an unmotivated, uninterrupted way in the mode of the servant of the servant of the servant. So happy Deepavali to all the devotees. Happy Kartik month. Happy Deepdan Mahamotsava. So the entire month has been a great month of celebrations. So on this auspicious occasion of Deepavali, let's continue with our prayers and study of Srila Prabhupada's book, Easy Journey to Other Planets. We'll start with the prayers. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadhamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Uttapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Sri Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Desha Tarine Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namni Gaura Duche Namaha Panchatatvatmakam Krishnam Bhaktarupa Swarupakam Bhaktavataram Bhaktakyam Namami Bhaktashaktikam. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Taptakanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya eva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhaktavinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. Mukam karoti vachalam pangum langayate girim yat kripatamaham mande Shri Gurun Dinatarinam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Ishwaram Hari Om Tatsat Gurave Gaurachandraya Radhikaya Tadale Krishnaya Krishnaptaya Tadbhaktaya Namo Namaha. Hare Krishna. So thank you all for joining in. So we have been reading this Easy Journey to Other Planets. We completed chapter 1. So today we will be continuing with chapter number 2 of this book, which is Easy Journey to Other Planets. So in the first chapter, we saw what is anti-material world and what are the ways in which we can go back to the anti-material world, right? The process from Shravanam to Atma Nivedanam, the Nava Angas of Bhakti is the way by which we can go back to that anti-material world. And then what gives us eternal happiness, right? As long as we are in this material world, we'll be subject to the 3 kleshas. Adhyatmik klesha, Adhibhautik klesha and Adhidevik kleshas, right? Kleshas means miseries. Miseries caused by our own body and mind, miseries caused by other living entities, and miseries caused by demigods or higher authorities like a flood, fire, and earthquake, etc. And then you're also subject to birth, death, disease, and old age, right? Dukkha doshanu darshanam. So these are the 4 actual problems of this material world. So in the anti-material world, it is conspicuous by the absence of these 4 problems as well as the 3 kleshas. And then we heard how we will go back to this anti-material world by performance of bhakti. So now let's go on to the second chapter. In this chapter, Srila Prabhupada is going to talk about the varieties of planetary systems, right? So recently we had the Chandrayaan expedition, right? People want to go to the moon, people want to go to the Mars, people say that I've already reached the moon, etc. So this is Prabhupada's viewpoint on what is it about what are the various planetary systems that are existing. What is a way to go to these various planetary systems like that? All right. So if any devotee wants to read, you can raise your hand. We are starting chapter number 2, which is varieties of planetary systems. Okay, Sindhu Mataji, go ahead. In these days,
Hare Krishna, Pranam Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Dandat Pranam.
In these days, when men are trying to go to the moon, people should not think that Krishna consciousness is concerned with something old-fashioned. When the world is progressing to reach the moon, we are chanting Hare Krishna. But people should not misunderstand and assume that we are lagging behind modern scientific advancement. We have already passed all scientific advancement. In Bhagavad Gita, it is said that man's attempt to reach higher planets is not new. In newspaper headlines, it is said that man's attempt to reach the higher planets is not new. Very bold.
Yeah. Newspaper headlines read man's first steps.
Okay. Am I audible, Mataji, now?
Yes. Go ahead.
Newspaper headlines read man's first steps on the moon, but the reporters do not know that millions and millions of men went there and came back. This is not the first time. This is an ancient practice. In Bhagavad Gita 8.16, it is clearly stated, Brahma bhuvana lokaha punar avartino Arjuna. My dear Arjuna, even if you go to the highest planetary system, which is called Brahma Loka, you will have to come back. Therefore, interplanetary travel is not new. It is known to the Krishna conscious devotees. Since we are Krishna conscious, we take what Krishna wants. One second, I'll switch off this. Since we are Krishna conscious, can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead, Mataji.
Yeah. Since we are Krishna conscious, we take what Krishna says to be the absolute truth. According to Vedic literature, there are many planetary systems. The planetary systems in which we are living is called Burloka. Above this planetary system is Bhuvarloka. Above that is Swarloka. The moon belongs to the Swarloka planetary system. Above that is Swarloka. The moon belongs to the Swarloka planetary system. Above Swarloka is Maharloka. Above that is Janaloka. And above that is Satyaloka. Similarly, there are lower planetary systems. Thus, there are 14 statuses of planetary systems within this universe, and the sun is the chief planet. The sun is described in the Brahma Samhita 5.52. Yachakshure savita sakala grahanam Raja samasta sura murtir ashesha tejah yasya brahmati Chakra Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. I worship Govinda, Krishna, the primeval Lord, by whose order the sun assumes immense power and heat and traverses its orbit. The sun, which is the chief among all the planetary systems, is the eye of the Supreme Lord. Actually, without the sun, we cannot see. We may be very proud of our eyes, but we cannot even see our next door neighbor. People challenge, can you show me God? But what can they see? What is the value of their eyes? God is not cheap. We cannot see anything, not to speak of God. Without what is the value of their eyes? God is not cheap. We cannot see anything, not to speak of God, without sunshine. Without sunlight, we are blind. Okay, without sunlight, we are blind. At night, we cannot see anything. And therefore, we use electricity because the sun is not present.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna. So Prabhupada starts off this chapter by saying, Brahma Bhuvana Loka Punar Avartino Arjuna. So, and various descriptions of the 14 planetary system is given. So we are in Bhu Loka. Above that is Om Bhur Bhuva Swaha. Right? Bhuvar Loka, then Swarga Loka, then Jana Loka, then Tapa Loka, then finally topmost is Satya Loka. Satya Loka is Brahma Loka, right? Even if we go to the highest planet of the material world, we will need to come back. Brahma Bhuvana Loka Punar Avartino Arjuna. And then similarly, we have our lower planetary systems, right? Sutala, Talatala, Patala, all those, right? And Earth is like the ground floor, right? Above that, there are 7 floors. Below that, there are 7 floors, right? And this is like the ground floor. From this ground floor, you can either go up or down. And wherever you go up, you exhaust all the past credits, come to the ground floor. Otherwise, you go down and suffer for all the sinful reactions, you come up to the ground floor. And from the ground floor, once you exhaust all your karmas, then you rebuild your karmas, right? By either acting in a pious way or acting in an impious way, we create positive or negative karmas. And then again, we go back this entire cycle of material world, from Brahmaloka to the earthly planet, to Janaloka, Tapaloka, or to the hellish planets, etc. We roam around, right, in this material universe. But what does an intelligent person do? Yajanti hi su medasaha. An intelligent person understands the process of bhakti and understands how is it one can get out of this entanglement of this material world, going from one loka to another, going from one species to another. Right? And then Prabhupada is talking about the sun, right? Prabhupada is talking about the 4 defects. One of the defects is that we have imperfect senses, right? Prabhupada is giving an example how without the sunshine, we cannot see our own hands. We cannot see the things around us. We need sunshine, right? We cannot see our own eyelashes, right? Prabhupada gives an example in Ishopanishad, right? When he talks about the 4 defects, he says, we cannot see our own eyelashes. We cannot see our back. Right? So many things we cannot see. And we claim that only if the God comes and stands before us, only then I will believe there is God. Even if God comes and stands before us, do we have the eyes to see God? That's why Prabhupada is saying God is not cheap. We cannot see anything, not to speak of God without sunshine. Without sunlight, we are blind. And there is also this beautiful verse, which says, Rasoham apsu kaunteya prabhasmi sasishuryayo. Pranavaha sarva vedeshu shabdake paurusham dushu. Right, where Krishna himself tells that I am the splendor of the sun and the moon. Prabhasmi shashi suryayo. Right, shashi means moon, suryayo means sun, and prabhasmi means I am the splendor. And here Prabhupada mentions the sun and the moon are the eyes of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It is only by the presence of the sun, with the help of the sunshine, that we're able to see whether it is a laptop or the speaker or our hand or the water bottle, whatever is in front of us, right? We're able to see only because of the sunshine, right? Or in this world, we also have something called as electricity, right? That's why Krishna tells in Bhagavad Gita elsewhere, he says, Natad bhashyate suryo na shishanko na pavakaha, right? In the spiritual world, there is no need for electricity because the effulgence of the Lord itself is so illuminating that there is no need for a sun or a moon or electricity. In this world, we need sun. And when the sun sets, when we have this electricity, because of which you're able to see, that is also the energy of the Lord. Yeah. So that's what is explained in 5.40. There are millions and trillions of suns in this material world. Yasya prabha prabhavato jagadanda koti, koti shashesha vasudati vibhuti binnam, tad brahma nishkalam anantamashesha bhutam, govindam adi purusham tamaham bhajami. So the spiritual effulgence of the Lord is called Brahma Jyoti, and in this Brahma Jyoti there are countless planets, right? That is why in the spiritual world there is no need for a sun or a moon or electricity, because the Lord only is giving out this effulgence, right? The devotees pray, Hiranmayena patrena satyasya pitam mukam tattvam pushanna pavranu satya dharmai drishtaye. A devotee does not get enamored by this effulgence of the Lord, right? Because the devotee is not stuck in the Brahman realization. The devotee wants to do adan pradhan with the Lord. The devotee wants to serve the Lord. The serve, satisfy and please the Lord. So devotee is not simply satisfied simply by the effulgence of the Lord. The devotee prays to the Lord, oh Lord, remove this effulgence so that I can have a look at your face. I can come near you and render service unto you. Otherwise, there is this analogy of a person who wants to enter a train and go to another place, right? Far away, he's able to hear the sound of the train. He thinks, oh, the train must be something like this. He's imagining, must be some sound like that coming. As he progresses nearer, he is able to see, far away, there is something coming. Oh, there is some physical element also to it, right? But when he goes to the platform, he's standing there, then he is able to actually get into the compartment or the coach, and he is able to travel to the destination. Then he is understanding the full picture of the train, right? It's not just a sound. It is not just, some bogies are there, but inside there are people, and this will help me, enable me to go to another place. According to my destination, I have to board this particular train like that, right? So many examples are given. There is also this example of how Far away, when you see a mountain from far away, you see only the peak of the mountain and you just think, oh, it must be a small thing like that. When you go nearer, then you find that, oh my God, this mountain is so huge. And then when you reach the foothills of the mountain, you actually see that the mountain is huge. There is so much of greenery around. There are animals also going around here, there, right? You get the full view as you progress nearer. So similarly, those who are satisfied with the Brahman effulgence of the Lord, they are so much farther away. They think that this is only the Lord. This glowing light effulgence is only the Lord. But those who go still further realize the Lord as Paramatma in their heart. And then finally, those who reach the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead know the greatness of the Lord and they want to serve the Lord. Vadanti tattva vidas tattvam ajnanam avyayam brahmeti paramatmeti bhagavan iti shabdyate. So in this way, there are three realizations to the absolute truth. Just like we realize even the material things in three levels, right? From the sound, and then we see, and then we experience. Similarly, we realize the absolute truth, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, also in three levels, which is described in Srimad Bhagavatam. All right. So who wants to read? Yeah, Deepak Prabhu, go ahead. From the spiritual bodily effulgence from there.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Pranam.
Pranam.
The spiritual bodily effulgence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna is called the Brahmjyoti, and in that Brahmjyoti there are countless planets. Just as within the sunshine there are innumerable planets, in the shining effulgence of the body of Krishna there are innumerable planets and universes. We have knowledge of many universes, and in each universe there is a sun. Thus, there are millions and billions of universes and millions and billions of suns and moons and planets. But Krishna says that if one tries to go to one of these planets, he will simply waste his time. Now, someone has gone to the moon, but what will human society gain from it? If after spending so much money, so much energy, and 10 years of efforts, one goes to the moon and simply touches it, what is the benefit of that? Can one remain there and call his friends to come? And even if one goes there and remains, what will be the benefit? As long as we are in this material world, either on this planet or other planets, the same miseries, birth, death, old age, and disease will follow. We cannot rid ourselves of them. If we go to live on the moon, assuming it is possible even within oxygen mask, how long could we stay? Furthermore, even if we had the opportunity to stay there, what would we gain? We might gain a little longer life perhaps, but we could not live there forever. That is impossible. And what would we gain by a longer life? Sarvaha kim na jivanti. SB 2.3.18. Are not the trees living for many, many years? Near San Francisco, I have seen a forest where there is a tree 7,000 years old. But what is the benefit? If one is proud of standing in one place for 7,000 years, that is not a very great credit. How one goes to the moon, how he comes back, is a great story. And this is all described in the Vedic literature. It is not a very new process. But the aim of our Krishna consciousness society is different. We are going to waste our valuable time. Krishna
Going to
says,
waste.
yeah, we are not going to waste our valuable time. Krishna says, don't waste your time attempting to go to this planet or to that planet. What will you gain? Your material miseries will follow you whenever you go. Therefore, in the Chaitanya.
Okay, so we'll discuss this and probably we'll end here. No, we have time. We can read 2-3 more paragraphs. Okay, so here Prabhupada is talking about, it's not about how many years that we live, but how much of life we add to our years, right? Chaitanya Mahaprabhu lived only for 48 years, right? The first 24 years, the 24th year he took sannyas. And after that, he went to South India Yatra for about 6 years. And the last 18 years, 24 plus 6, 30, the last 18 years, he was staying in Jagannath Puri. He was teaching, how this Adan Pradan between the devotees happened, right? We study in Nectar of Instruction. What is that verse? Dadati pratigrhanati guhyam akyati prachati bhunkte bonjete cheva sadvidam priti lakshanam. So such loving exchanges between devotees was what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu taught when he was in the when he appeared as a pure devotee of the Lord, right? And similarly, in Ishopanishad, I believe Srila Prabhupada gives example of how the trees live in one particular place for a long, long time. Some trees live for millions of years, right? But what is the use of living for so many years, standing in one place without having any consciousness, standing in the rain, the heat, etc. So it's not about how long we are living, but it's about what is the quality of our life, right? So if there is no quality to our life, what adds quality to our life, right? Human form of life, inquiry is the main purpose. If we don't inquire, why am I here, why am I suffering, what is causing me so much of trouble, how can I escape this trouble, who is God, what is my relationship with God, what am I supposed to do in this human form of life, all of this, if I'm not going to ask these questions, I may live for 100 years, but it is no better than an animal, right, which is just living for say 20 years or 30 years and just dying. Because what am I doing? Ahar nidra bhayam maitunam, right? Very nicely, I'm doing it inside closed doors, inside sitting on a dining table. He's eating with a nice fork and spoon, and the dog is doing the same thing on the road, right? But Prabhupada is saying, just by doing things in a very sophisticated way, it does not behoove the human form, right? In the human form of life, we are not just simply meant to be doing ahara, nidra, bhayam, and maithuram in a sophisticated way. The atato brahma jignasa, inquiry into who am I, who is the supreme absolute truth, what is my relationship with the Lord. That is what is most important. Even if we live 10 years, 20 years, if you're able to understand this essential concept of life, then our life is successful. Otherwise, we may live 100 years, but we may live like just like animals. What is the purpose, right? Tatakim, tatakim. Adi Shankaracharya says, right? What is the use? What is the use? What is the use? If we waste our human form of life and live for 100 years, what is the use? That's what Prabhupada is saying here. We are not going to waste our valuable time by going to this planet, going to the moon, Mars, etc. Knowing very well, wherever we go, we are going to come back. And then Prabhupada gives an example here, how even if you go to the moon planet, right, that itself is not proved, right? Prabhupada says that somebody has gone to some, Arizona or some place in Africa and they're just calling it moon, right? Because they are saying there is no living entity in the moon, right? How can it be possible? There is Chandra, right? Chandra is the demigod in charge of the moon planet, right? So there has to be living entities, right? And even in the sun planet, there are living entities. So when somebody is going to the moon planet but can't find anybody, that means that one has just reached the periphery, one is not allowed to enter into, one does not even have the material body that is suitable to live in the moon planet or in the sun planet for that matter, right? If it simply touch fire, our finger gets burned. How are we going to explore into going into the sun planet using these mechanical means, right? And if at all somebody wants to go, that also Krishna gives the way. He says, yanti deva vrata devan pitran yanti pitravrataha bhutani yanti bhuteja yanti madhyaji no pimam. If you want to go to the sun planet, you worship the sun god. You want to go to the demigods planet, you worship the demigods, right? If you want to come back to my planet, then you worship me. That's what Krishna is saying, right? Don't waste your time attempting to going here and there using mechanical means, because one, you will not be successful. Two, even if you become successful, you will not be able to spend much time there. You will have to come back to this material world or this bhuloka, like that. All right. So, and then Prabhupada goes on to quote from Chaitanya Charitamrita. In Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adilila 3.97, it is very nicely said by the author of Chaitanya Charitamrita, is Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami Maharaj. He writes, Keha pape keha punye kare vishaya boga bhakti gandha nahi yate yaya bhava roga. Anyone wants to read? Yeah, Anjana Mataji, go ahead.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna, Dandavat.
In this material world, someone is enjoying and someone is not enjoying, but actually everyone is suffering. Although some people think that they are enjoying, whereas others realize that they are suffering. Actually, everyone is suffering. Who in this material world does not suffer? Mataji, scroll it.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Mataji. suffer. They are suffering. Actually, everyone is suffering who does not die. No one want to grow old or suffer from disease, but everyone must do so. Where and then is the enjoyment. And this enjoyment is all nonsense, because within this material world there is no enjoyment. It is simply our imagination. One should not. I think this is enjoyment and this is suffering. Everything is suffering. Therefore, it is stated in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. The principles of eating, sleeping, mating, and defending will always exist, but they will exist in different standards. For example, the Americans have taken birth in America as a result of pious activities performed in previous lifetime. In India, the people are poverty stricken and suffering, but although the Americans are eating very nicely, buttered bread, and the Indians are eating without butter, they are both eating nevertheless. The fact that India is poverty stricken has not caused the whole population to die for want of food. The four principles bodily demand, eating, sleeping, mating, and defending can be satisfied under any circumstances, whether one is born in an impious condition or in a pious condition. The problem, however, is how to become free from the four principle of birth, death, and old age diseases. This is
Hare
the
Krishna. Thank you,
Hare
Mataji.
Krishna. Hare
Krishna. So we'll stop here. So here in this, Prabhupada is explaining the same thing what we discussed, isn't it? Americans, they have better luxurious life because of their previous pious credits, right? And Indians, probably somebody is in poverty or somebody is suffering from some kind of disease because of some of the previous impious credits, right? But Prabhupada is saying eating, sleeping, defending, and mating will be satisfied in all circumstances. There are four principal demands. They will be satisfied in all circumstances, whether one is born in an impious condition or a pious condition, right? Somebody has nice bread, butter, jam, etc. Very luxurious. Probably that's what they consider luxurious food. And probably the poor man in the street is just having a bread. He may not have the other nice ghee or butter, jam, etc., right? But that's not the real problem, right? Because when the soul leaves the body, does not matter what we've eaten, right? Whether we had only bread, whether we had bread, butter, jam, and whatnot, right? Does not really matter. When the soul leaves the body, all that is matters is whether we're able to think of Krishna or not. So if we utilized our entire life in eating, sleeping, mating, and defending, it's like nicely decorating the cage, but not taking care of the bird inside. So the bird inside is dying. But if it is a golden cage or a silver cage or a platinum cage or a copper cage, it doesn't really matter, right? Because the cage is for the protection of the bird, and what is more important is to protect the bird. Similarly, we have to take care of our soul, and to whatever extent we can afford for the eating, sleeping, defending, and mating without over endeavoring, right? Atyahara prayasascha prajalpa niyamagra sangatyaga satovrite sadbit bhaktir vinashyati, right? Atyahara, that means if you're over endeavoring for material things, over endeavoring for eating more, over endeavoring or trying to get more and more knowledge so that it will help me become famous, etc., right? And we are striving very hard, over endeavoring for it, prayasascha prajalpa, talking unnecessarily which is not Krishna consciousness to all the people, etc. What are we doing? We are preparing ourselves to go in the cycle of birth and death, right? So today somebody who is born in America as a human being, if he's so attached to eating, sleeping, mating, and defending, probably he would become a hog in America. Is that a very nice situation? No, isn't it? So it doesn't matter whether we're in America or India, because they're all temporary situations. But what is the situation that we are going to get into? We have control over that. What is the control? If we are able to remember Krishna always, then at the time of death we can remember Krishna. We can go back home, back to Godhead. So we should be worrying about what is my next destination rather than cribbing about our present destination, because we've landed ourselves here because of our karmas of the past. Now let us perform a karma, perform activities only for the pleasure of the Lord, and in this way let us land ourselves in a situation where we totally avoid all of this birth, death, disease, and old age. So we have the control now. So now is the time that we have to act so that we can go back home, back to Godhead. Otherwise, we are simply going to think, how am I going to eat better? How can I sleep better? How can I, go to a 4 BHK, 5 BHK house? How can I enjoy myself, sense gratify myself, etc. Maybe we will get all the sense gratification that we desire because of our previous pious credits. But what is the next destination that we are arranging for ourselves? There we will fail. Yeah. So in that way, our only desire should be to get out of this material entanglement, because every day some disease or the other, some common cold at least comes. If not anything else, we all have the experience of having cold, cough, breathlessness, fever, right? At least that is so common and so frequent, right? That much we have experience of suffering in this material world. Nobody can claim that I've never fallen sick. So we all have experience. It's not that we are studying theoretically, but we don't have experience. We all have experience. But what are we doing with that experience? What are we doing with that knowledge? What is the decision that I'm taking? Am I continuing to just feed my material body as all in all, or am I feeding the body and also rejuvenating my soul, that to that enabling remembrance of Krishna? So that is what is rejuvenating to the soul. Otherwise, our eating and sleeping, His Grace Radhesham Prabhu was saying, when we sleep also, the 6 hours, we should think, oh, tomorrow morning I will be able to wake up and then render service to the Lord. That should be the consciousness. Whatever we are doing, eating, sleeping, mating, and defending, it should help us advance ourselves in devotional service. Everything, whatever we do, should be centered around how can I perform devotional service better for the pleasure of Guru and Gauranga. In that situation, whether we have fever, whether we have cold, whether we are extremely sick, doesn't matter. It's a temporary situation. Our next situation is guaranteed to be better. So that is what we are working for. So Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srila Gurudev ki jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol. So now let's move on to our study of Bhagavad Gita, chapter number 12. So we're going to read how we can become very dear to Lord Sri Krishna. If we develop these qualities, we'll become very dear to Lord Sri Krishna. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Arjuna Vacha. Evam satata yuktaye bhakta swam pariyupasate ye chapya aksharam avyaktam tesham ke yoga vittamaha. Shri Bhagavan Vacha maya veshamano ye mam nitya yukta upasate shraddhaya parayopeta ste me yukta tamamataha. Etvaksharam anirdesham avyaktam pariyupasate sarvatragam achintyam cha kutastam achalam dhruvam Sanniyamyendriya gramam sarvatra samabuddhayah te prapnuvanti mameva sarvabhuta hiterataah. Klesho adhikatarastesham avyakta sakta chetasam avyakta hi gatir dukham deha vadbhiravapyate. Ye tu sarvani karmani mayi sanyasya matparah ananyenaiva yogena mam vyayanta upasate. Teshamaham samodarta mrityu samsara sagarat bhavamina chirat partha maya veshita chetasam mayeva mana adatsva mayi buddhim niveshaya nivasishyasi mayeva ata urdhvam na samshayah ata chittam samadatum na shaknoshi mayi stiram abhyasa yogena tato mamichaptum dhananjaya. Abhyasepi samartosi matkarma paramo bhava Madartam api karmani kurvan siddhim avapsyasi ataitat api ashaktosi kartum madhyogam ashrataha sarva karma phala tyagam tataha kuru yatatmavan. Shreyo hi jnanam abhyasa jnana dhyanam vishishyate dhyanat karma phala tyagas tyaga shanti ranantaram advishta sarva bhutanam maitraha karuna evacha nirmamo nirahankaraha samadukka sukakshami. Santushtah satatam yogi yatatma drada nischayah mayyat pita mano buddhir yomadbhakta same priyah yasmano dvijate loko lokano dvijate chayah harshamarsha bayodvegair muktoya sachame priyah anapeksha shushi daksha udasino gatavyatah sarvaramba parityage yomadbhakta same priyah yo na hrishyati na dveshti na shochati na kankshati शुभाशुभा परित्यागी भक्तिमान्या समे प्रियः समशत्रौ च मित्रे च तथा मानपमानयोः शीतोष्णा सुखदुःखेषु समसङ्गविवर्जितः तुल्यनिन्दासुधीर्मौनी सन्तुष्टो येन केनचित् अनिकेतस्थिरमतिर्भक्तिमान् मे प्रियो नरः ये तु धर्मामृतमिदं यथोक्तं पर्युपासते श्रद्धाधाना मत्परमा भक्तास्तेऽतीव मे प्रियाः। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna. So now we will sing the Gopi Geet. So good. This is from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, chapter number 31, entitled the Gopis' Songs of Separation. This is also called Gopi Geet. Okay, so let me quickly share my screen. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Gopya Uchuhu Jayati Tedikam Krishna Janmana Vraja Shayata Indira Krishna Shashwadatrahi Taitadrishyataam Krishna Dikshutavakas Tvaidrita Savas Krishna Tvam Vichinvate Sharadudashaye Krishna Sadhu Jatasat Sarasi Jodhara Krishna Shri Mrushadrisham Suratanatate Krishna Shulkadasika Varadanignato Krishna Neha Kim Vadha Vishajalapyayat Krishna Vyala Rakshasat Varshamarutat Krishna Vaidyutanalat Vrishamayatmajat Krishna Vishwato Bhayat Vishabate Vayam Krishna Rakshita Muhu Nakalu Gopika Krishna Nandano Bhavan Akila Dehinam Krishna Antaratmadrik Vikana Sartito Krishna Vishwaguptaye Sakaudeyivan Krishna Satvatam Kule Virachita Bhayam Krishna Vrishniduryate Charanamiyusham Krishna Samshruter Bhayat Karasaroruham Krishna Kantakamadam Shirasi Dehina Krishna Shrikaragraham Rajajanartihan Krishna Veera Yoshitam Nijajanasmaya Krishna Dvamsanasmita Bhajasake Bhavat Krishna Kinkari Smano Jalaruhananam Krishna Charu Darshaya Pranata Dehinam Krishna Papakarshanam Pranacharanugam Krishna Sriniketanam Panifanarpitam Krishna Te Padambujam Pranukruche Shunna Krishna Krindi Hrichayam Madhuraya Gira Krishna Valguvakyaya Buddhamanopnyaya Krishna Pushkarekshana Vidikaririma Krishna Viramuyati Adarasidhuna Krishna Pyayayasvanam Tavakatamritam Krishna Tapta Jivanam Kavibiriditam Krishna Kalmashapaham Shravana Mangalam Krishna Srimadatam Bhuvigranandiye Krishna Bhurida Jana Prahasitam Priya Krishna Prema Vikshanam Viharanam Chayete Dhyana Mangalam Rahasi Samvido Krishna Yaspradi Yahradi Sprusha Kuhakano Mana Krishna Kshobayantihi Chalasi Yadvrajat Krishna Charayan Pashun Nalina Sundaram Krishna Natate Padham Shladrunankurai Krishna Sidati Nana Kalilatamana Krishna Kanta Gacchati Tina Parikshaye Krishna Nila Kuntalair Vanaruhananam Krishna Bibradavritam Ganarajaswalam Krishna Darshayan Muhur Manasina Smaram Krishna Virayachasi Pranatakamadam Krishna Padmajarchitam Dharani Mandanam Krishna Deyamapadi Charana Pankajam Krishna Shantamam Chate Ramananasthaneshwar Payadhyan Suratavardhanam Krishna Shokanashanam स्वरितवेणुना कृष्ण शुष्टुचुम्बितम् इतररागवे स्मारणं नृणाम् वितरवीरनस्तेदरामृतम् अतति यद्भवान् कृष्ण अहनिकाननम् त्रुतियुगायते कृष्ण त्वामपश्यतम् कुटिलकुञ्चलम् कृष्ण श्रीमुखं च ते जडौ दीक्षतम् कृष्ण पक्ष्मकृदृशम् पतिसुतन्वया कृष्ण भ्रातृबान्धवान् अधिविलङ्घ्यते कृष्ण अन्त्य अच्युतागताः गतिविदस्तवोद् गीतमोहिता कितवयोषिता कस्याजने निशीन् रहसि संविदम् कृष्णा हृच्छयोदयम् प्रहसिताननम् कृष्णा प्रेम वीक्षणम् बृहदुरश्रियो कृष्णा वीक्ष्य दामते मुहूर्ति स्पृहा कृष्णा मूयते मनाम् प्रजवनौकसाम् कृष्णा व्यक्तिरङ्गते वृजिनहन्त्रेलम् कृष्णा विश्वमङ्गलम् यजमनाक्षणस् कृष्णा त्वत्स्पृहात्मनाम् स्वजनहृदृजाम् कृष्णा यन्निषूदनम् यत्ते सुजातचरणाम्बुरुहं स्तनेषु वीतः क्षणै प्रियतदी महि कर्कशेषु तेन तवीमदसि तत् व्यततेन किं स्वेत् पूर्वाधिभिर्भ्रमतिभिर्भवदायुषां नः हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे Hare Krishna. So now today's lesson, today is the day of Deepavali, the day on which, Krishna was bound by Mother Yashoda. We discussed that during our Brahma Murta session this morning. With great endeavor, Mother Yashoda endeavored, and that it was 2 fingers too short, that Mother Yashoda could not bind Lord Shri Krishna. And then how Srimati Radharani gave her ribbon, and in this way, it's only with the mercy of Srimati Radharani that we can bind Lord Shri Krishna. And then he also discussed why do we offer lamps on the month of Kartik, especially on the day of Deepavali. That's because Mother Yashoda also checks Krishna after the Yamala Arjuna trees fall down and they get their forms as Nalakwera and Manigriva, offer their prayers to Krishna, and they go back. Hearing the third sound, Yashoda Maya comes running outside to see that her Lala is actually lying down along with the motor and near these 2 trees which have fallen down. And then Mother Yashoda immediately picks up Krishna and then checks whether Krishna is okay. In this way, she offers lamp first to the lotus feet of the Lord, and then she checks the navel of the Lord, and then the lotus face of the Lord, and then the entire body. She offers a lamp in this way. So that's what we are also trying to do in the mood of protecting the Lord. That is our highest benediction, right? Prabhupada says, we don't ask the Lord, oh Lord, give me my daily bread. That's what people do. That is why to have a relation that the Lord is my son, the Lord is, I have to take care of the Lord. It's my duty to protect the Lord. When we have that bhava, then we serve the Lord very nicely. Otherwise, we think, oh, Bhoktaram Yajna Tapasam Sarvaloka Maheshwaram. It's truth, right? Krishna himself says, Aham Bija Pradapita. I am the father of all the living entities. But when we think that Krishna is our father, we seek protection from the father. We make our demands to our father. But that is not the mood that we want to cultivate. We want to cultivate service attitude. So that is why this Leela, which is Yashoda Damodar Leela, which is where Yashoda Maya is binding Lord Sri Krishna to the ropes of her devotion, and how the Lord is willing to be conquered by the love of his devotee. So in this way, we want to develop unmotivated, uninterrupted service attitude to the Lord, which will please the Lord, and then the Lord will enable us to bind him, to keep him in our heart always. So that is a lesson for today. Whatever happens, we were discussing in the morning how Narada Muni actually gave a curse to Nalakwera and Manigriva, which actually turned out to be a blessing. A devotee can never curse. Such curses also become blessings in our life. So in this way, when we take with a positive attitude, everything that happens in our life is for our good, because Everything, whatever is happening by the sanction of the Lord. And the Lord is our greatest benefactor, our greatest well-wisher. So how can anything go wrong? In the long scheme of things, we are not able to see the bigger picture. But in the bigger scheme of things, everything is going as per the will and plan of the Lord. So in this way, every situation, we have to just simply think, how can I serve in this particular situation? And that is the perfection of human form of life. So that is our lesson today. And now quickly, let's go on to singing Damodarashtakam and then offering our lambs to the supremely powerful, sweet Lord, Shri Shri Radha Damodar Bhagwan. Damodarashtakam ki jai. So this is written by Satyavrata Muni. In the first words, especially, he talks about the Kundala, right? The Kundala, he specifically speaks about the Kundala because when Krishna is running, the Kundala is in his ear. It is swinging to and fro. The Acharya Sanatana Goswami explains that every time it touches the cheek and it kisses the cheek of Krishna. So no other ornament gets this benediction of kissing Krishna's cheeks so many times like that. That's why the Kundalam is specifically explained here as very, very fortunate like that. Let's sing. Namamishwaram Shachitanandarupam Lasat Kundalam Gokule Brajamanam Yashodhabiyolukaladavamanam Paramrisamatyanta Todruta Gopya Rudantamurnetra Yugmam Rajantam Karamboja Yugmena Satanka Netram Muhushwasakam Patri Rekanka Kantha Stita Graivam Damodaram Bhakti Badam Drishwalila Virananda Kunde Swagosham Nimajam Tam Atyapayantam Tadiyeshitagneshu Bhaktajitatvam Puna Prema Tattam Satavriti Vande Varam Deva Moksham Na Mokshavadim Va Nachanyam Dhaniham Varishadapiha Idam Deva Purnata Gopala Balam Tadha Me Manasya Virashtam Kimanyay Idam Te Mukambojam Matyanta Nilayay Vritam Kunchalai Snigdha Rakhyasha Gopya Musumbidam Bimba Raktadaram Me Manasya Virashtam Nalam Lakshalavai Namo Deva Damodar Ananta Vishnu Prasida Prabhu Dukha Jala Bhimagam Kripa Drishti Vrishtyati Deenam Vatanu Dihanisha Mamajam Yedya Chidrisham Kuberatmajau Bhadda Murcheva Yadvat Swayamocitau Bhakti Vajagratau Cha Tata Prema Bhaktim Swakame Prayatcha Namo Kshegraho Me Sri Damodareha Namaste Stu Dhamne Suradipti Dhamne Tvadiyodharayata Vishwasya Dhamne Namo Radhikayai Tvadiya Priyayai Namo Ananta Leelaya Devaya Tugam Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Jaya Radha Damodar Radha Damodar Radhe Jaya Yashoda Damodar Yashoda Damodar Sri Radhe Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Prabhupada Gurudev Jaya Jaya Gurudev Nitai Gaur Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada Gurudev ki Jai Ananta Gaudiya Vaishnava Vrinda ki Jai Nitai Gaura Premanand Hari Hari Bol. All Gaudiya assembled devotees Hare Krishna All glories, assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories, assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories, all glories, all glories to Shri Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga, Shri Prabhupada, Shri Gurudev ki jai. दीपावली महामहोत्सवा की जय. कार्तिक मंथ दीपदान महामहोत्सवा की जय. निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल. So thank you very much for joining in on the auspicious occasion of Deepavali. I wish all of you a very, very happy Krishna conscious Deepavali, Krishna conscious Kartik month, and Krishna consciousness all the time. We are alive in this world so that we can aim for a higher destination, go back home, back to God in this lifetime. We'd spent so many lifetimes pursuing different objectives and rotating in this material rotating in this material world. Let us utilize this one lifetime to serve, satisfy, and please Guru and Gauranga, and maybe perfect our lives in this lifetime. May that be our only desire. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srila Gurudev ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol. Thank you very much. So meet you all tomorrow morning, 5 o'clock for the Brahma Murta chanting session. Until then, happy chanting, happy Deepavali.